what's the viability of an Xbox One portable console? The Nintendo Switch is a hit but lacks the third-party support, and Microsoft has the opportunity to come back big by releasing a handheld capable of running the same Xbox One software as the S and X. Lacking new, getaway, innovative IP success this generation, Microsoft is in a hard place. Microsoft has the best platform features among the competition, and with Xbox Play Anywhere, why don't they try some unique hardware where Sony is not competing?
If that ship sailed a long time ago, not only Sony failed with the PSP and then the Vita. I know you can argue if it's a failyour or not, but it's gone today. Let's put it that way.
It's similar to what we're arguing about. I'm with you. Don't worry.
So you're fighting Nintendo, and more to the point, now you're fighting smartphones. Why? That is a battle you almost certainly cannot win, even with Microsoft's resources. So no, I think the X-Boy ship sailed a long time ago.
The relative success that they've had with the Series S and getting people into the Xbox ecosystem that way, and they're looking at that going, okay, and we see the rise of handheld gaming in the form of, obviously not just the Switch, but the Steam Deck and all these other Windows gaming handheld PCs now. So I think it just makes perfect sense, and I think the ceiling is a lot higher on a handheld Xbox that's maybe Series S level in terms of horsepower than the ceiling of going above the Series X and just aiming for throwing more teraflops at the problem. I definitely applaud Microsoft's strategy here, and I will absolutely buy a handheld Xbox, an X-Boy, if you will.
So no, I think the X-Boy ship sailed a long time ago.
Boy, that escalated quickly. I mean, that really got out of hand fast.
Alright everybody, welcome back to another Xvault gaming video. Xvault here, and here is your next dose of the salty batch files, and boy, the delusion, the narrative, the if they, won't they, the exclusives matter, they don't matter, all that in a bundle here. We got a lot of different themes going on today, so without further ado, let's go ahead and jump to it. Alright, so like I said, what we're going to do is get right to the meat of the matter, get right to the salt, and just a quick shout out to all the haters out there. Thank you so much. Appreciate you helping out the algorithm, appreciate you watching. The hate watching does wonders for the channel, so thank you as well. But that going into it, let's start with our first example. Anna Anson, yes, they make their long-awaited return. It's been a minute, they're back here. In reply, as you can see, absolutely smart. With new Xbox hardware incoming soon, they will wipe the floor with PlayStation like they did this gen. I'm in maybe a different reality at this point in time. Am I not? When did Xbox wipe the floor with PlayStation ever? Let alone this generation. I have a theory with this person. I think they might be GOAT Gaming, like an alt account. There's just no way. They're so similar, two sides of the same coin, so to speak. GOAT Gaming, if you don't know, I think is more satire. If you break it down and pull it back, a lot of people getting upset because all this stuff is misinformation, not true. He's tagging all these people, right? But I think it's satire, and on purpose in that regards. But I think these guys are the same in regards to one super delusional, and if not, a lot of similarities here, but I just find it really delusional. They're still going in with they wiped the floor with PlayStation this generation, and will do so the next generation when Xbox is more than likely going to be an omnipotent PC. An omnipotent PC, folks, so just keep that in mind. But this is quite the delusional take to start off the video with, and we have some other examples, so we're going to continue on here. Let's move on to Nico here, of course. Nico, trying to change that narrative ever so often. As you can see here, if Sony themselves stops optimizing its games for PlayStation 5 Pro, why should any other developer do it? They already stopped supporting PSVR 2. Now this. Consumers will lose trust if things don't change. First of all, before we get to the myriad of misinformation here, by the way, talk about losing trust in a brand. That would be Xbox. That would be whatever the generation is, this generation and multiple generations at this point, where they failed to deliver what they were supposed to deliver. All they did was have their peak with 360 with that era, and they went downhill, hasn't come back in years and years, and over a decade worth of lost trust. That's what we're looking at. But again, you're climbing an uphill battle that just isn't going to be won. The fate's been decided. Xbox is now third party, fully third party, not just here and there. No red lines, all that stuff here. But I like the other person calling this out because, before we do that, and I post it, PlayStation hasn't stopped supporting VR too. There's consistently weekly VR games that are out for the PlayStation VR 2. That's, whether it be first party supported, obviously a different matter in it because, again, it constitutes itself being double or triple A when regards to that. They could probably mess around with some stuff, have a studio do stuff, but it's not as lucrative. Might as well throw all that third-party stuff into that ecosystem, have it perform exceptionally well, on and on and on. But the point being, this is not a diluted product. This is not a given up on product at this point in time, much to my surprise because I wasn't sure. I jumped in hoping for the best. Yes, I would love to see more first-party support, obviously, but I understand that there's going to be some caveats to that. So not everything sunshine and rainbows for the PSVR 2, but to sit there and outright say that it's a complete failed product and they stopped supporting it is completely false. But let's get to the other example here. This person calling them out, Magna Guard. It's literally one single game, Nico, and this is true. Quite a stretch to imply that Sony will stop optimizing all games for PS5 Pro, and obviously we've seen with Assassin's Creed Shadows, this is a big win in regards to that, whether it's any sort of upscaling, looking better, performing better, all that stuff. Quit engagement farming, bro. You are embarrassing yourself, clown. He does this every day, Magna. So don't be surprised if this isn't the end of it. That's what they continue to do. But as he posts up the article, an upcoming PlayStation Studios game will not be PS5 Pro enhanced. Its developers announced following an incorrect PS Store listing. That is MLB The Show 25, originally thought to be Pro enhanced because it carried the relevant tag on PS Store. However, an official game FAQ confirms there are no enhancements, right? Again, they help publish this. It doesn't mean it's a first-party game. It doesn't mean it's built from the ground up for PlayStation only. It's now available on PC and Xbox at this point in time, right? So the fact that they use this third-party game as some sort of first-party studios and not enhancing and doing this, that, and the other, no matter what they do, and Nico has a crap ton of followers, shockingly, but again, people run to the flock like sheep. They love the misinformation, whatever makes them feel good about their product. If somebody wants to be a grifter, the ones we go over time and time again, it's so easy. If I wanted to be a straight-up grifter, I would flip gears, sell my integrity, and sit there and pretend that Xbox is doing everything just fine and they're doing great and it's PlayStation who's failing and spread all this misinformation. I'm gonna get a crap ton of followers. If I wanted to sell my integrity, I'm not doing that. I'm just being honest. These are just posts, again, whatsoever. That's why we mentioned at the beginning, we have the haters watching. They dislike the truth. They dislike what we go over. They can't stand it because there's some sort of an agenda with what I'm going over here. No, we're just showing delusional posts, simple as that. But let's keep going here. This is great. Gaming Profits back, by the way. I put 145 hours into Starfield via Xbox Game Pass. It's the best space RPG of all time, and I'm happy to know that the ponies will get to play it soon because we all know by now the ponies love Xbox games more than PlayStation games, and then of course chimes in, Xbox gets 70% on every copy of Starfield sold, blah, 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 blah. I love this argument. They still go with this argument, right? Before we get to the first part of that little paragraph, Xbox does get 70%, but they also have to pay for advertising. They have to pay for R&D. They have to pay for the game itself, creation, studios, this, that, and the other. All Xbox or PlayStation is doing is allowing that game to come over to the PlayStation ecosystem, and they get 30% by not doing anything. They don't have to advertise. They don't need to advertise. That's Xbox's deal. That's their deal, right? It's going to sell on PlayStation for sure. But again, look at the R&D, all the stuff I mentioned. That's going to cut into that 70%. Now, am I going to get down to the nitty gritty? And if somebody out there wants to do that, put it down in the comments below what you think Microsoft actually profits from each software sale. when all said and done. I know eventually the longer a game's out and it sells later on, and if it catches fire, all that stuff, they're going to profit a little more. Absolutely. Not debating that, not taking anything away. But the fact that the 30% is 100% pure profit for PlayStation. They don't have to do anything. They don't have to lift a finger, essentially. It's coming over there. So I love the 70%. Like, ooh, 70%. Nobody cares. Same thing. Are we going to sit there? Let's say in another reality, it's not happening. There's no native console port for an Xbox first-party PlayStation game heading over to Xbox. I would not catch myself being as an argumentative piece of information stating, well, you guys, you know what, you bots, I mean, you're going to have to pay full price for it, and Sony gets 70%. No, dude. The second that your first-party games go to a competing platform, it's done. There is no argumentative point. It's done. It's embarrassing. They failed. You guys failed them as the Xbot shills, frauds, and everything that was supporting it instead of calling them out when you should have done it. It failed. You all failed all the way around. That's why they're in the position they're in. No new console is going to save them. No PC hybrid is going to save them from any sort of means of whatever. There's no W to be found here. But again, very little that I want to go over with Gaming Profit here. And the fact that you finally showed a game that you're playing, which I don't even know if this is truly you, by the way. Most people that do have your username on Xbox show that you don't really touch most first-party Xbox games. And again, if Xbox games were something that PlayStation gamers wanted more than PlayStation games, I think their little console would be selling a lot more, or at least equivalently to the PlayStation consoles. Are we not connecting the dots here? Do you see how moronic you are? Are we not connecting here? We're not, of course. To my dismay. My apologies. Let's keep going here. Now, I want to bring up just a quick example. You know how Colt and company and everybody in the circle, the grifters, the frauds, exclusives don't matter. We've been over this multiple times before. I just want to show a quick subsidized path of what Colt has been doing, what he said in the past here. As you can see, hashtag Starfield is immaculate. Reports are super positive already, and it's a whole new experience, new IP, and another sequel, and a sea of sequels. Xbox exclusive in 3 weeks. Starfield, Xbox exclusive, will be our video game version of Interstellar. What? It's bigger and more ambitious than any other Bethesda RPG. Well, that ended up not being true either. Starfield is exclusive in all caps, yelling it out, and yes, you can fly it. Okay? Hashtag Starfield, the first true next generation brand new IP from Bethesda Softworks Studio. 5 games in 1, Xbox exclusive. Then again, to finalize it all, Starfield, Xbox exclusive 2023. Join the Crimson Fleet Pirates while putting on a good face for the Constellation. So again, as you can see from what they're doing as of late, Xbox exclusives don't matter. What matters is the profit. What matters is games everywhere. That's the way of the future, guys. Just 2 years ago, not even a full 2 years ago, it mattered. Exclusives mattered, but now they don't, according to the Xbox fanboys, shills, frauds, grifters. It just doesn't matter anymore. No, exclusives matter. They always have. They always will. As long as it can go on from a profit standpoint, as long as it makes sense to an ecosystem, it will continually go on. Even if that ever had to change in the future for whatever profit reason and things getting too expensive and stuff like that, it's not for naught. If that makes sense. It's not for naught. Because they increase quality, they increase value in an ecosystem. The day that we actually lose exclusives to ecosystems is the day gaming loses a big part of its identity, a big part of the quality, a big part of the experience per ecosystem, all that stuff. You can argue it tooth and nail, to the moon, whatever the case is. Exclusives mattered from back in the 70s all up to today's current standard, and as well as in the future, as long as they can and do thrive. Anybody saying different is a liar. Or they just don't like it because they're on a certain side of the fence and it didn't work out for them. As you can see here, exclusives mattered until they failed in a certain ecosystem because the fan base and the corporation didn't execute appropriately. But let's keep going here before we spend an hour and a half on that, because I could. Go back to the Catfish making their return to X Ascension, aka Joseph Cruz, aka Andrea Piccinini, aka slithered their way out of having to answer for being a catfish. But as you can see here, let's use some common sense here. Oh, this isn't going to be good right off the bat because they don't have any. Number 1, all big single-player games from Xbox Game Studios, Bethesda, and Activision: Starfield, Hellblade 2, Indiana Jones, Fable Avowed, The Elder Scrolls 6, Doom, Crash, Spyro, etc. must be Xbox exclusive. So again, we're back to the exclusives deal. They mattered. They mattered until they don't. Number 2, multiplayer and service games, COD, Overwatch, Elder Scrolls Online, etc. is okay to be on PS5. Okay, the only thing that you do make sense on is the fact that live service and multiplayer games benefit more from more ecosystems. It's not a closed single-player game, right? I think it makes sense. And even at some point, if it's popular enough, it doesn't have to go multi-platform, but that's another conversation for another time. Number 3, flagship single-player titles with MP, Halo, Gears, Forza must stay Xbox exclusive. Kind of what I was talking about here. But again, exclusives mattered and they must stay that way. Number 4, older multiplayer titles like Sea of Thieves would be okay to launch on PS5. So just pick and choose whatever makes sense, which Sea of Thieves is extremely boring. For those of you that like it, good for you. I tried it, bought it, put some hours into that, hoping it would change. I think it's one of the most boring multiplayer games out there personally. I'm not Mr. Bouget, and I can have fun with most games. That to me is not fun. But anyway, that's a whole nother topic as well. And not just saying that because that's an Xbox, first party title. I welcome any great game, but anyways, not my cup of tea. If it's yours, fantastic. Number 5, smaller titles like Hi-Fi Rush would be okay to launch on Switch, but not on PS5. Again, picking and choose. So now certain single player games would make sense. What, when they failed to sell? When they failed to garner MAUs? When they failed to do anything substantially? Is that when it's okay for PlayStation, the ecosystem, the fans, the gamers to bail Microsoft and certain games out? To bail them out of failure? That's unfortunate. And the writing has been on the wall for quite some time. So again, Microsoft, just do it like this and put an end to the nonsense. Because yes, listen to a catfish. They're going to listen to you, I'm pretty sure, when you're writing novels on Christmas Day about how unfair Ratchet and Clank is reviewing. But we all go back to something like this, and the saltiness couldn't be at an all-time high in just a post of this example. I could just spend an entire video on this example right here. Cope, seethe, mauled, as the Xbox fanboys have been stating. Is that how that goes? Is that how that goes? That's how that goes. But let's keep going on here. So Darren here, first time featuring this gentleman, tagging Xbox P3 Phil Spencer. Better wrangle up your boy, Stuart. It's about to ruin all the good will you guys made with Xbox fans with the Bethesda deal. These have to be exclusive, Phil. You're not doing the brand any favors by putting them on PlayStation. Xbox fans want exclusives, timed no. I understand that, Darren, but again, you might be in the minute company of buying games. You're not saying you're even buying those games. You guys had to buy these games. This is why Phil had to pivot. He put all the eggs in one basket. I don't know if you're new to this situation. I don't know if you're new, never heard of my channel, never heard of others' channels, other people speaking out about the truth. You guys failed. They failed the system. Phil failed by putting his eggs in one basket for Game Pass. You guys failed for buying the games. You guys didn't have enough word of mouth to garner enough attention to get more subscriptions to make Game Pass successful as it should have been to keep these exclusives to the Xbox ecosystem. So now they had to pivot, and again, we're looking at PlayStation having to bail them out, but you're not done there underneath there simply because Xbox pivoted. Imagine wanting all players to play all games and call it gaslighting. No, we champion games on all platforms because we are gamers and think all games should be accessible. We could care less about Xbox Wars or Box Wars and more about the actual games, my dude. So, do you see how his tone shifted later on? This is why we can't take any of y'all seriously. You pivot and shift the narrative. You were caught in 8K, my guy. 12K at this point, 10K, 16K, whatever you want to call it. You were caught. So the fact that you hold any merit whatsoever, you don't. You're frauds, you're fakes, you will shift and pivot, and this is why the brand failed in regards to hardware is concerning. This is why they failed to sell. This is why they failed to garner any traction, because you don't hold them truly accountable. You backpedal. You backpedal to show loyalty to a brand. You want to talk about corporate bootlicking? This is corporate bootlicking 101 right here. Pretty embarrassing if you ask me. That being said, let's move on to another example. We got a lot of examples. This is why we're moving on a little quicker than normal. Would love to go into more detail about these, but here we are. Catfish is back once again, right? Forza Motorsport update cars versus Gran Turismo 7 update cars. As you can see here, supposedly all the shiny, the best new cars. This is how they're coping with Forza arriving on PlayStation this April. They are coping so hard. So trying to use the worst of the worst cars that would maybe be available, plus probably horrible screenshots, as you can see. The Unimog Type 411 1962. I think it's a cool little vehicle here, to be honest with you. I think that's pretty awesome. We all love the shiny, fast, cool cars as well, but this is cool. I love what is integrated there. But the reality of the matter here, as you can see, introducing the Gran Turismo 7 December update, adding 5 new cars, including the Ferrari Vision Gran Turismo. As you can see here, I think it's pretty cool. You have this version of the car here, the Ferrari and whatnot. I think it looks good, quick, speedy, flashy, shiny, all the new stuff, all the cool stuff there as well. So you get everything there, but you see how they tried to shift that narrative and everything under that tone. Really embarrassing, and just another receipt here of them showing a different reality in their minds and trying to put that out on social media, trying to affect the casuals, but it doesn't do anything. You can talk to the white wall that has nothing but the white painting. It's the wall. You can be the Wilson Fisk and stare at it all day long. It's not going to change anything. That's all you're talking to is a white wall. That's all you're doing. The one or two influences you might have that happen to come across it isn't going to change the landscape, but keep wasting that time and energy, as channels like myself will call you out on the bull crap. But let's keep going here. So here's something, I want to show a quick video here in a second, but this is a prelude to the video here, right? So it is just a reskin of the ROG Ally and makes no sense in regards to the rumored handheld hybrid from Xbox, right? For those who were hoping Kenan would, and before we thought it was Keenan, right, would play Xbox games, I'm sorry to that report that this is a tried and true Windows PC in essence, meaning that you cannot bring most of your Xbox library to the device. Keep in mind, this might be a prelude to the next console from Xbox as well, the basic PC hybrid type of deal going on there as well. Jez states, first step towards full Xbox handhold, in my opinion, has to happen like this first. So again, the damage control is there. Still not holding them accountable, not being truthful with his followers and everybody else in between. And then, of course, HoloLive, that's just not true at all. Just a quick little appreciation applause there for you. Holding him accountable. More people need to do that. And then Jez continues, doesn't have to, but I'd prefer Microsoft put out a device to learn from rather than go all in with a 1.0 version without having proprietary info. As in, hey, is this going to sell? You're not going to get that proprietary info, Jez. Not from something that doesn't translate all the Xbox games, something that doesn't translate to do anything than what a Steam Deck, ROG Ally, Lenovo, all that stuff is doing. It's not going to be a proprietary tit for tat. It's just not going to happen. It doesn't make any sense. So again, you're talking in jumbles here. Makes no sense. But that being said, take a look at the video clip here side by side with this stuff. Here you go.
The idea of a Z1 Extreme or more powerful Steam Deck with an OS designed for it that can play all my Xbox games, it's got to play my Xbox games though. If it's just another PC handheld, then I don't care. I mean, I don't know why Microsoft would even do that. Like, why bother making another PC handheld? There's loads of them. There's like an infinite number of them. Another one just got announced today, the Iron Neo 3. Another Windows handheld. We don't need another one of those. So unless it runs all my Xbox games, I don't think Microsoft should even bother.
All right. And I don't know what else more to say on this. I mean, you guys comment down below your thoughts on all this nonsense from Jez and the back and forth and everything like that there. It's just, what are we doing here? How does it not get old? That's all I'm saying. How does it not get old to sit there and play defense so hard? Like something's going to change. Like Microsoft is going to pull this magical rabbit out of the hat and everything's going to change, and they're just going to get back into the swing of things, and they're going to end up with some sort of W. Just you wait and see. They're going to end up with this big old W at the end. They're not. They failed. They're just trying to make something work, and we'll see what happens, but I don't foresee a magical rabbit being pulled out of that hat. But let's go over to our favorite, our final examples here of Destin here. Let's pivot to that for now. Destin, opinion, just remember, opinion, Xbox buying Activision was pointless. Okay, now he admits that this is pointless. Headed into year 2, we have a handful of games on Game Pass, no moves being made with WoW, an underutilized back catalog, and nothing new has happened with mobile. So I have to ask, what was the point? Of course, he has the video kind of going over that, but what was the point? We knew there was no point because we knew that things would not probably be exclusive to that ecosystem. It was just too much of a buy, and if those subscription numbers didn't add up and didn't increase substantially with the names, big names of WoW, and even though WoW I don't believe is on Game Pass even for PC, correct me if I'm wrong, with Call of Duty being the main one that stands out, right? You would think that's the Hail Mary pitch. This is the one that we need because everybody, all the casuals and everybody in between and the outliers play or at least have some sort of experience and try to garner, buy Call of Duty, all that stuff. So this is the big thing. Guys, if you subscribe to Game Pass, Call of Duty is yours. You don't have to pay that $70 or so every single time the new entry does arrive every year. This didn't work, as we see. This didn't move the numbers and the needle like they were supposed to. Didn't happen. But again, not too long ago, remember what Destin said here, guys? Well, I got it here for you. Destin states, I ask this a lot and have yet to get a compelling argument against Microsoft purchasing Activision. Why would it be bad? Let's hear your best case, which I couldn't give him my best case because he blocked me before even having a conversation with the guy. Because so far it sounds like a pretty damn good thing for ACTI, seeing they, voted unanimously for it. Because they voted for it, it's a good idea, and it's a big win for Microsoft, and it was going to change things around. We've seen the writing on the wall, like I said. In a different reality, if it did turn heads, if the word of mouth was correct, if they did advertise appropriately, and they did it better, market it better, this, that, and the other, might have worked, right? It might have worked, but we all knew, most of us knew, hey, the odds are stacked against you. This is a Hail Mary pitch, like I just mentioned. If this doesn't garner the attention, if this doesn't work in the way it should have worked, game over. Game over, man. It's done. The two narratives every single time, and these are the guys that call themselves journalists out there trying to push a narrative, trying to make you believe something that's not true. You can be a fan, but stop being a delusionalist fanboy. Once again, all the haters that are watching to the end of these clips here, they don't cut this part out. They don't talk about this. They try to pick and pull little nuances from the channels like myself and try to make it seem like I'm trying to tell someone not to play where they want to. I'm telling you and the entire audience to play where you want to play, how you want to play. If that's Nintendo, if that's PlayStation, if that's Xbox, if that's PC, if it's the Ouya, and you're standing behind that system still, good for you, because at the end of the day, what matters is you having fun. What doesn't make sense and what you should not do is be like a lot of these examples we've shown today, being delusional and being a fanboy and letting a corporation dictate your loyalty rather than just enjoying where you want and understanding the reality of the matter. Play where you want. You're getting this from me every single time. I state this almost every video at this point because they won't clip this part stating, I implore you to play where you want to do it. I'm not imploring you or trying to sway you to buy a PlayStation. I'm trying to persuade you from following morons like these guys that we focus on these examples in the Salty Batch files all so often. Stop falling delusionalist, understand the reality of the situation, and still play. If you still want to continue with Xbox, then please do so. If you want to continue or shift or pivot to PC, please do so. Whatever makes the most sense to you. We all have opinions, we all have different tastes, and that's okay. These segments are to pull out the bullcrap from the frauds, the shills, the grifters, and that's what we continue to do. So if you do like the truth, continue to follow this channel, continue to stay tuned, because we're going to continue to do the same things over and over that they don't like, and they being the fraud shills and grifters. That being said, hammer dropped. That's the truth of the matter. There is no agenda here on this channel. We just go over the truth. That being said, I appreciate everybody. We'll wrap up the video here. If you haven't already, definitely leave a like, comment down below. Would love to hear from you in all aspects. Of course, if you haven't already, definitely consider subscribing. All those things do help out the algorithm and is so much appreciated. We are certainly on our way to that 3,500 sub goal, making headway. And by God, I'm going to continue to deliver that truth to you guys. So, of course, at the end of the day, guys, don't be a salty batch. We'll see y'all next time on the next Xvault Gaming video. And until then, take care.